This video shows a simple mixing session using the mix console in Cubase. When mixing, we creatively balance, treat, and combine all tracks, edits, and effects into a single stereo track. Mixing gives us an opportunity to shape the identity of the music. The mix console is the primary tool for mixing a Cubase project to a stereo file. There are many configurations and tools in the mix console, which are covered in detail in Software Spotlight 21 and Help File 16. Remember to complete these sections along with the Unit 6 Lesson 3 on basic mixing before you begin mixing the final project. This demonstration presumes familiarity with the tools from these sections. Although there are no strict rules for mixing, and it is important to cultivate your own style and process, there are a few general guidelines. These are: less is more, try not to overdo loudness, effects, and EQ, avoid listening fatigue, take breaks when mixing, listen to the mix through different headphones, speakers, and sound systems, use your ear, and practice. It is a good strategy to have a general plan for any mixing session. In this plan, we can assess how to improve the sound and determine what tools to use to achieve this goal. The plan for this mixing session is to adjust channel levels to find balance between the melodic and rhythmic materials, adjust panning, use EQ to add warmth and punch to the rhythms, as well as to add some sparkle to the melodic sections. Finally, we will add reverb and compression to give the mix a polished sound. When relevant, I will show useful mixing techniques in Cubase, such as grouping tracks, keyboard shortcuts, and routing tools. This is a short 25-second excerpt. There are several elements to address in this mix. I will demonstrate these step by step. The first step will be to adjust the levels to achieve a balance between the tracks. For this session, I have set all faders to 0 and will adjust levels as necessary. I will play back the project and solo the different tracks to highlight the audio on each track. There is a high register melodic line in track 1 and lower register melodic lines in track 2 and 3. To feature the high melodic line more prominently, I will slightly lower the levels of tracks 2 and 3. In the rhythm section, track 4 contains mid-range drum sounds in the texture. Track 5 contains a higher pitched djembe in the texture, as well as lower drum sounds. I will slightly lower the level of track 4 to feature the texture in track 5. useful tools for working with the faders include Command or Control click to bring the fader back to 0. When we activate the routing rack, the rack displays the signal path of each track. Notice all tracks are bused to the stereo output track or master track. We can reroute each track as needed, for example to a group track. I demonstrate this technique in Software Spotlight 21 on the mix console. To shape the stereo image, I'll make slight adjustments to the panning. I will adjust tracks 4 and 5 to slightly widen the stereo image of the rhythm tracks while leaving the melody tracks panned center. Please note that the pan settings will not be audible through the screen recording. EQ allows us to balance frequencies in a track and correct minor issues in the recorded sound. For example, we can apply EQ if there is too much emphasis in the bass frequencies or if mid-range frequencies need a slight boost. Use the large graphic interface in the channel settings window to make adjustments. You can also use the EQ racks. During playback, the channel settings EQ interface shows real-time analysis of the frequency content. We can use this information to quote-unquote fish the frequency range or find the frequency range we wish to boost or attenuate. Attenuating instead of boosting a frequency will produce a cleaner mix. Try to avoid more than 6 dB of gain. Review Unit 4, Lesson 5 for characteristics of specific EQ bands and the effect that they have on the overall mix. You can use Option click to reset an EQ setting at any time. And remember to use the bypass button to compare processed audio and unprocessed audio.